Hello, hello, everybody. Let me know in the comments if you can hear and see me okay. Let me know where you're watching from. It's good to see so many people jumped right on. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started in just a minute with today's free play date, Grid Journal Jam. So say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. I see 12 people here. Don't be shy. Palmetto, Florida. Welcome, Leslie. Good to see you. Joe, hi. How are you doing? Joe's watching from the UK. Lori, good to see you from Indiana. Kathy's in upstate New York. Welcome, welcome. Carol, Lafayette, California. Uh, Joe in the UK. I knew that. Corinna's calling in from Germany. Kathleen is watching from Jacksonville, Florida. B. Jackson coming to us from Toronto, Canada. Welcome, welcome. I am so happy to see so many people here. Jerry is watching in Oregon, BC, Canada. We got a lot of Canadians in our membership. Someone from Raleigh, North Carolina. Shell's joining us from Leesburg, Virginia. Welcome, welcome, everybody. So today we are going to play. That's what the play dates are all about. I try to do one free play date a month. Some months just get a little too busy, but I try to do that. And they are now over here on YouTube. So if you need to duck out early or you want to go back and rewatch, this is going to live here on Collage Lab's YouTube channel. So if you're watching on the replay, let me know you are watching on the replay. Hey, Maureen, joining us from Silicon Valley, California. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let me do a little introduction, song and dance. If you are brand new to my channel, brand new to Collage Lab, welcome. I'm so happy you are here. If you stick around till the end, I'm going to be doing a giveaway if you registered in advance. This is free. You can watch it on YouTube. You don't need to register. But if you signed up in advance, then you're going to be in a drawing for a giveaway. I'll do that at the end. I'm Kelly. I am a mixed media collage artist in Rockport, Texas on the Gulf Coast. And I am the founder of Collage Lab. And Collage Lab, I'd like to welcome you. We started 5.5 years ago with a, with, this is funny, we started with a grid, and here we are with a grid today. My very first free class that I offered as Collage Lab was called G is for Grids. And how many people remember G is for Grids? It is not currently available. It was until very recently, but it's been free since 2020, and it's a lot of fun. And I know it's still a lot of fun because I actually did it live with a group of art educators not too long ago. We went through all of the exercises in G is for Grids, had so much fun. And so right this minute, when I get off this YouTube, I'm in the process of recording a new and improved version of G is for Grids. It will still be free. It will still be fun, but it won't be painful for me to watch. It was the very first online class I ever did, guys. It was an experiment. The editing, the audio, oh my gosh, some of it is just so horrible. But the lessons are really good. So I am re-recording all of the lessons in G is for Grids, and I'll tell you in a little bit how you can be one of the first people to grab Grids 2.0 when it becomes available. Anyhow, I started G is for Grids, Collage Lab started late 2019. G is for Grids was the first online class, just kind of me testing out a new platform and seeing if everything worked. And then I created the Collage Alphabet. And that's a year-long class. It is still available. If you go to explore.collagelab.com, you can sign up for the Collage Alphabet. It is a new lesson every 2 weeks for an entire year. We go through accordion books. We go through book cover collages. We do a deep dive into color. We play with decollage. We do a little bit with encaustic. I could go through the whole alphabet, or you could just head over to explore.collagelab.com and check it out under Learn. But that was our first big class at Collage Lab. Went on to create many, many more classes, some live, some pre-recorded. And just about 2 years ago, September, I created a membership, and it's going strong. We've got some amazing people in the Collage Lab membership community. Several of them are here today, which makes me so happy. But anyhow, the doors are not open right now for the membership. So why am I even mentioning it? If you are interested in the membership, you're going to want to get on the wait list. I will be opening the doors again early October. So early October, if you want to join our membership, go to explore.collagelab.com, click on join to get on the wait list. And that'll also get you on our email list so you know what's happening, like these free play dates and other things. So today's play date is Grid Journal Jam. I know a lot of people do some grid journaling. We're going to do a little bit of a twist on it, and create some quick, fun little mixed media collages in your sketchbook, in your journal, on a piece of paper, whatever. So that's today's project. And so I don't know why that's coming up again. So let me, stick around to the end for the prize drawing. Got a couple more people have joined us. Kathleen, welcome. Kathleen's in the membership. Carolina is in Corpus Christi, Texas, just down the road from me, and she is a new member as well. Carla is a member, has been for a while. She is watching from Michigan. Welcome, everybody. So, who wants to make a grid journal? How many people, tell me in the chat, how many people have done grid journaling before? Anybody? Anybody done grid journaling before? I enjoy just playing around with little tiny collages because it lets me experiment quickly without a lot of materials, without a lot of supplies. I can just get in there, make a bunch of collages. No one collage is precious if you're making a bunch at one time, and it can give you some great ideas for future collages. So Carla says it's been on my list to try. Well, today's the day, Carla. Kathleen says she's new to it. Lori's first go. Joe says not me. Corinna has done it before. Leela, welcome. Leela is watching from Eugene, Oregon. She is also one of our members. We call our members the Lab Rats, and Leela is one of our very special Lab Rats. We now have an ambassador program, and these are members that have volunteered to act as kind of a welcome wagon when new people join the membership. And Leela is one of our Lab Rats ambassadors. So grateful for them. Try Hard says, yes, you've done grid journals before. Cool. Well, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to hop over to the work table and get all the stuff ready to grid journal. Let me pop that on the stage. And so we should be looking at my work table now. Let me step over here. And I sent you a supply list, just things I might be using today, just random art supplies and random papers. I also sent you a couple of templates, and you can use these or not. Sometimes it's nice to have your squares spaced out, makes it kind of quick and easy. I sent you two. This one will fit in my usual little sketchbook. Which one is this? This is a mixed media sketchbook. It's 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and so if you trim the template down to the little squares, then cut your little squares out, they'll fit nicely on that page, right? I'm going to play with a brand new sketchbook, and so I'll set that one aside, and that's why I did this 8 by 8 template. And this is my brand new sketchbook, you guys. I have not done a thing in it yet. It is 8 inches by 8 inches. I think I might like it a lot size wise. But you can also do it on a piece of paper. So I've got 8-inch by 8-inch watercolor paper. Not quite sure why the camera zoomed in there, but there we go. Technology. So you could do it on paper. Here's how this fits on 8 by 8. That's a little annoying. I apologize. It's auto focusing, I guess. Or it'll fit here in my journal. And so I cut out 6 squares because nobody needs to watch Kelly cut out 9 squares, but I'm going to cut the other 3 out here with you live. And I used my paper trimmer to just cut this down to 8 by 8. You can also use just a square of paper. This one's 2 inches by 2 inches. So I could lay that out in my sketchbook, space them out, and trace around those and have my little grid. But I find having the template is a little bit easier because then you don't have to worry about spacing. The template does it for you. So I'm going to cut these other 3 squares. Get the paper trimmer out of the way. As you can see, I've cut these already. And I'm just going to use a utility knife and a ruler. And I'm also not terribly picky about how perfect my squares turn out. So don't stress if your lines aren't perfectly straight. Don't stress if your squares aren't perfectly square. This is about just having some fun, making some quick collages, and experimenting. Just doing it, right? Just creating. So here is my little template now, ready to go with my sketchbook. And put away the sharp objects. And I'm going to open this up to a page. And basically, I'm just going to trace around each of these squares so that this pattern of the squares shows up and I have a grid to work on. Like I said, you could cut out, these are 2 inch by 2 inch squares, so you could cut out a little template and just trace around that if you'd like to. If you're working on a bigger piece of paper, you could use Post-it notes. These are usually 3 inches by 3 inches. And your squares don't have to be square either. They could be rectangles. So this is the little tiny Post-it note. I believe this is 2 inches by 1.5 inches, maybe. So you could do rectangles. You can make it your own, absolutely. And so tracing around here, the only rule, and it's not even a rule. But I'm going to try to use something that's not going to run if I get some wet paint or media on there. And I'm actually just going to use just a regular pen to trace my squares. Just because it's here and it's easy. Make it easy. Use what you have. You don't need anything fancy. For those of you that do want to print out the templates, I just printed mine on white cardstock, so it'd be a little sturdier, so I could use it again and again. Because I'll tell you what, once you make your first grid journal, you're going to want to make many, many more. It's just a really fun, playful kind of exercise. And so I'm just tracing around all 9 of these squares. And again, if you're working on, if 6 squares makes more sense for the size of page you're working on, 6 squares is fine. 6 squares is what I usually do. But I've got this, like I said, I've got this brand new sketchbook. So I'm going to play with 9 squares. And I'm just tracing inside each of these holes in the template. And ta-da! Now I have 9 squares. And I'm going to basically create 9 little mini collages. And I'm going to not just go, oh, let's make 9 collages. There are different approaches you can take to this. So if you wanted to, I'm just using scrap paper today, just little bits and pieces. Let's see what I've got here. But, if you wanted to take something and tear it up and put it in each square, you could absolutely do that, a little bit in each square. The approach I'm going to take today, I'm going to keep that out because I like that. This is just my little tiny little scrap can. And so I like text. I like black and white. See what else I've got here. Oh, that's kind of fun. So anyhow, we're going to take a little bit different approach today, and you can follow along or you can do your own thing. But since I've got 9 squares, I'm going to start by putting a little bit of paper in 3 of those squares. Just some little scraps, glue them down, start a collage. Like I said, I really like this black and white text. And so I'm just going in with a glue stick. That's my go-to when I'm trying to work quickly without overthinking. And so I'm just going to start a little collage in that square. I'm going to start a little collage in this square. And start a little collage in this square. Next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of mark making. And I'm just going to grab, oh my, do I want to go in with color yet? I'm going to go in with black to start out with. This is China pencil, China marker. And I'm just going to, I'm just going to make some scribbles in one of the squares. And then I'm going to make some scribbles in another one of the squares. And a third square. I may cover up some or all of this, but so I've got 3 with paper, 3 with marks, and then if you've been around a while, you know my little trick here. Now I'm going to do 3 with some sort of paint. I'm going to use this light olive green. It's a color I like, but I don't use very often. And I was cleaning the studio yesterday, and of course, when we're cleaning, we do anything we can to avoid the real task at hand, right? And so I decided, instead of like clearing off my work table or organizing, my bookshelf or anything like that, I decided I needed to clean all of my stencils. So most of my stencils right now are outside, soaking in Murphy's oil soap. But I did grab a few that are really small designs, because I figured these little 2-inch by 2-inch squares, these small designs, I don't even remember where I got this one. This is a little homemade one. This is part of a larger stencil that got damaged, but I saved a little piece of it. And so I think that'll be kind of fun on this small scale. And so I'm just going to grab a makeup sponge and get some of that green paint. And what you can do if you're worried about staying inside the lines, which, I don't do that often, but you could just take a plain piece of paper and you could mask off your square. So this is just copy paper. And I'm going to put that stencil in the bottom corner, if I can find it again. And that way I can load it up with paint without going off the edge outside the lines, because I've masked it a little bit with the copy paper. All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's just a start, and I like it. I'm going to do a little bit of the green in the other 2 squares here. One of them, I am going to go in with one of these stencils. Look at that. That's like the perfect size. And I'm going to use the green. And I'm going to go sideways. No, I'm going to go this way. I don't know. Don't overthink. Usually the first choice is the best one, right? So there's that. And then this one, I'm just going to, I'm going to grab a brush and just maybe water this down a little bit. And just do some light marks there. Kind of a little background. Okay, that'll work. And so I've got something in each of these 9 squares now already. So they have begun. At this point, I'm throwing out my rules. My rules I made for myself were that 3 of the squares started with paper, 3 of the squares started with that black mark, and 3 of the squares started with the green paint. Now I'm throwing out the rules, and I'm going to continue building a little mini collage in each of these little squares. And that's really all there is to it, you guys. You can use any papers, any paints, any kind of mark making that you like. combine all of it, have fun with it. This is almost dry. If it's, if it's not quite dry, I'll just roll a paper towel over it. Now it is dry. I can glue something right there. Um, I'm really into the black and white text. That may end up in all of these collages today. I don't know. Maybe. It's rather striking. And maybe I will even pull out the scissors and go with some really thin strips. It's kind of fun. At the diagonal. There we go. And maybe just a couple little squares onto that green. Teeny tiny things, right? Like that. And okay, I don't have to just be like, okay, paper now, okay, paint now. I can kind of go back and forth, and I'm feeling the need to add some more and different color. So I'm going to pull out, these are Caran d'Ache Neil Color 2. They're water soluble. And I'm just going to take, this is just a circle template. Architects and stuff use them. And I'm just going to take this and make some circles. And this one, I'm going to go with a little bit larger circle. And this one, I'm going to go with half a circle, a little bit more than half, and color it in. So you get a sense of, moving around, doing some different things. Just do some scribbles here. I'm just going to echo this diagonal line. All right. And then I'm going to come in with a black fine line pen and maybe draw some different shapes. Got the little square pieces here. How about if I draw a little square? It's just a little shape template. I don't even know where I got it. So this is a time to, experiment and see, what happens if, I decide to do a zigzag line around that circle? What happens if I decide to do a dotted line off of that little circle there, and maybe this way? Doesn't take much to change a composition when you're working at this small of a scale. Let me introduce another color of paint. We'll go with this. No, we'll go with this one. This is just a turquoise. And let's see. I'm going to mask that one off again. If I remember where I put my papers. Here we go. So I'm just going to mask this off so that I stay within my little grid. And I don't really like that stencil. I'm going to change my mind and go with this little dotted one. I like that. I like that color with the black and white. I like it with the green over here. Maybe with the green, just a little bit. Just a little pop. Hmm. And because we're building up layers, you don't even realize it, but now I've got the blue paint on top of the paper, on top of the green paint. And those layers add depth to your collage. And, if we had just put paper down and then paint and then marks, it would look different. This is going to give us some real depth. I'm going to come in here. Just do a dot of that green. I like that. Just fill in an area a little bit as well. Because I'm looking at these all together. We can also look at them individually, but when you're looking at them all together, the similarities and the differences are things that pop out at you, and I I think they're the fun parts of it. Going back in with the green here as well, just a little bit, just a little pop of color, and I put it on pretty thick there, so that's also going to add some depth. And now I'm going to go over that with some paper. Maybe I will cut out a shape around this black and white text. Why not? And you notice how I just kind of go back and forth between the pens and the crayons and the paint. I'm just going to add some dots in here. They're very small. I don't know if they'll show up on the screen, but in this size of a composition, definitely shows up. I'm going to add some larger dots, go in with another color. This is Sharpie Creative Marker, and I'm going to just, I like dots. So sometimes just like, 3 dots will just kind of pull some things together. Go with some more line work here. And some more dots. This one square doesn't have any paper on it. So let's do some paper. And actually, let me grab something. Grab a paper punch. It's a little rectangular size paper punch, which I really like. And I'm going to punch a few holes here. Okay. I'll punch a few holes here in black cardstock. Kind of random. And then I'm going to cut a shape around it. This might be, it might be a little much, but what the heck? We're just gonna glue it down. Kind of like that. And I'm going to do, this one's little squares. I'm going to do the same thing, but with little squares. Got 3 little squares there. I'm cutting it so it's really thin on one side and really thin on the top, and then got some width on the other side. And just kind of hold it over different places, see where you want to go. Okay. And one more little bit with the black cardstock. You know, if you're doing 9 pieces and 3 and 3 and 3 kind of make sense. So if I've got 3 very dominant black elements, kind of keeps your eye moving around a little bit. Now, whenever I put down black, I'm like, well, let's put down some white. And so I got my Presto Jumbo Correction pen, and I'm going to add some white dots to this black section. And I'm going to add some white lines to this one. And a white scribble on that one. Okay. I would add more white, but I've got white for the background, and I'm just gonna leave it like that. Let's see, where are we at with time? Feel like some of these need a little bit more, so maybe I'm going in with more different color. Why not? Stabilo Woodies. I love these. These are also water soluble. So I'm going to add a little bit of this blue here. And got all warm colors for the most part. I'm sorry, cool colors, blues and greens here. So I'm going to add this little purple color. don't know what it, oh, mauve. Um, just because I think that's going to pop a little bit more on the black paper. And sometimes it's just, drawing an interesting shape or tracing around a shape. And now, of course, I can also go back in with more paper and layer it over some of the things I've already put down. So let's see here. Okay, and maybe some more black marks. You'll find that, especially if you're new to mark making, you'll find it feels a little awkward. And then after a while, it feels so comfortable, but you find yourself making the same marks over and over again. So I challenge you to try different ways to make marks, either using different tools or like I'm going to use this with my non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed. I can't do anything with my left hand. I'm also going to hold my pen differently. And I'm going to come in here and try to do some little scribbly things. And these are marks that I could not try to make with my right hand. So they're different because of how I'm holding the pen and because I don't control it the same way with my non-dominant hand. So that's a way to kind of switch things up. Let me show you where I'm at so far. I'll give you a close-up. Those are kind of fun. I think less is more sometimes. So I think I'm going to call this almost done. And I'm going to hop over and see if you guys have any questions or anything like that in the chat. Let me know how it's going and what you have tried so far. And this is something you can do, you can do it in your sketchbook. You can do it on any size paper. Here's something I was playing around with that I found while I was cleaning the studio yesterday. And I think I'm going to go back to it because I really liked the direction that some of the grid was going. So let me hop over here and let's see. Where did that go? Why am I not full screen? There we go. So let's see in the comments, what have we got going on here? Cecilia says, nice color combo. Chris, welcome from Eugene. Leela just moved up there not too long ago. It's a small world. we have so many people make connections through Collage Lab, whether it's through our membership or our classes. We just finished up Collage Coaching Week at the end of last month, and there were three or four people from Raleigh, North Carolina. And, how often does that happen in a small group when there are people from around the world? So, anybody have any questions about the grid journal, about how to get started, about how to use the templates or not use the templates? Anybody have any questions at all? I'll just hold this up here so you can see a little more detail. But I'm pretty happy with that. And The reason it kind of works together is because I really kind of limited my materials. I had my whole bin full of scraps, paper scraps, but I pulled out like just 3 or 4 pieces that all had black and white text. And that helps hold things together. I ended up using 2 paint colors, 2 or 3 crayons, in black and white. So that kind of helps things together. Kathy says, fun gluing small bits. Yeah, it is. It's really, it's really no pressure when you are making something that is 2 inches by 2 inches. And then there's even less pressure when you're making, 6 or 9 of them at one time, because nobody's zeroing in and picking apart just one. They're looking at all of them. And that allows you to be, have more fun, experiment more. And yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Any questions about supplies? Any questions about Collage Lab? Any questions about the coming soon Grids 2.0? So this method is a good start for beginning larger work. This is a really great warm-up, Kathleen, and there can be some point at which I look at something and I say, oh, I like that. So maybe that becomes, the beginnings of a larger work. You can absolutely grid journal in a way that you are planning larger works. Say you want to do a collage landscape. You could play with different kinds of papers in your grid journal. You could play with different color schemes. You could play with different layouts, because some landscapes have a lot of sky, some have very little sky, and you could play with that and just kind of give yourself just kind of a way to play and experiment. And then you could make some decisions based on those playing things. So absolutely, it's a great way just to get started, just to get moving. For some people, this is a really great way to not be afraid to add marks or paint to a collage. So go in there in your grid journal, put down a bunch of papers, and then say, it's only paper. It's only a little 2-inch by 2-inch or 3-inch by 3-inch square. I'm going to make some marks. I'm going to have some fun with it. I did grab one other thing the other day. It's like there's always something on my Amazon wish list, and every once in a while I'm like, I've got a gift card, or I did a return and there was a little bit of money on my account. And so I picked up this silly little thing. It is a pad of clear sticky notes. Now that doesn't look clear, but this is one of them, and it is translucent. It's kind of plasticky, kind of like vellum. But what you could do with something like this is you could put it over one of your squares, and you could say, what happens if I do a big old spiral over that? And I can decide, do I want to do that? It's not done yet, but I can get a sense of how that would look. And I said, well, maybe I want to put it over this one. And I can look and I can see. So, and you could do that on anything that's plastic that you could draw on. So what I want to say is, if you're hesitant about mark making or adding, mixed media to your collage, you can you can try it out before you commit. And especially in the grid journal, in the grid journal, you can say, hey, I may ruin this by putting a circle in it, but I'm going to try anyhow. And you may like it, you may not like it, but, chalk that up as a lesson learned. Anybody have any more questions before I go to draw a winner for today's play date? If you registered, you are in for a random drawing for a prize. I'm not going to, often I'll do what we did in the play date, but I'm not going to tear a page out of my new journal and send it to you. So I will send you an original small collage if you registered today. And so I'm going to pull up the Wheel of Names. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to put myself down in the corner, and I have to go over here. I'm going to spin the Wheel of Names, and our winner for today's play date, ta-da, is Chris McDonald. Chris McDonald, I am going to send you an original small collage. I just need you to email me with your mailing address, kelly@collagelab.com. Chris McDonald, congratulations. You are our winner today. And let's go back here. So I did the giveaway. Congratulations. And, I want to remind you, I've mentioned this in the newsletter a couple of times. I am putting together a bundle of free tools and resources. And I've got some amazing creators in the online space that have some free offers for you. Watch your email if you're on my list, and you should be. Watch your email September 1st to get the first opportunity to grab any and all of these free resources. It's called Curated. So if you see something that is about the curated bundle, that is me. It's a little passion project that I'm putting together in an effort to help some of my business colleagues, friends, people just starting out. We're all trying to grow our audience. That's no surprise. And so we are sharing our audiences and building them by sharing some free resources. What it means for you is you get an opportunity to try some other instructors, get some downloads, some free classes, all sorts of cool stuff for free. So watch your email September 1st for all the details. And that is all I have today. I appreciate you joining me for this month's free play date. Make sure you pay attention to the newsletter. There will be the freebies in the curated bundle starting September 1st. I'll also be announcing shortly once I've scheduled our next play date. We'll be doing something fun for September, I'm sure. And if you're interested in getting into our membership, make sure you get on the wait list. I'll be opening the doors again at the beginning of October. If you're watching on the replay, please do let me know where you're watching from if you have any questions. So Corinna says, thanks, that was fun. And Joe says, thanks, great fun. Cecilia says, congrats, Chris. And again, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next month. I've also got a poll on this YouTube channel. If you go over to posts, I've got a poll right now asking, what kinds of videos you want me to make, because I need to get back on a regular schedule. And so let me know what kind of videos you want to see here on YouTube. Leslie says, thank you, Kelly. Really informative. And now I can try it on my own. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other reason I do this on YouTube is you can go back and you can watch it again and again. And, you can stop it, you can rewind it, and you can make your own. So thanks again for joining me today. Really great to have all of you here. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thank you so much for playing.